First, we got an IM here from Hulk Hogan. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. And then from Cheney Shot the Dog. Matt, any comments on the death of the Ultimate Warrior?
I'm just
or as I should say,
I'm gonna be mad
the Ultimate Warrior. I'm pretty shocked that the Ultimate Warrior is dead. For those who aren't familiar, the Ultimate Warrior is probably one of the most famous professional wrestling characters in wrestling history. If you were a child of the 80s, you certainly knew who he was. He was right up there with Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. If you're gonna rank who the biggest stars of wrestling from the 80s and 90s are, which some consider the heyday of professional wrestling, you would rank Hulk Hogan right there up top. And in second, it's easily a tie between Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man Randy Savage. A lot of people consider, this is serious stuff, man. Don't laugh. A lot of people consider the greatest WrestleMania match of all time to be WrestleMania 6, which is the main event, was Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. And a lot of people get nostalgic over this, especially when any wrestler dies. A lot of people get nostalgic. But it's especially weird because let me say this straight up. The Ultimate Warrior, Jim Hellwig, was not a good person. He was an asshole.
Wow.
He was a terrible person. He said he left the WWE on terrible terms in the early 90s. He basically showed up at a pay-per-view and held Vince McMahon up for tons of money. Otherwise, he wouldn't go out.
Well, anybody that would treat Vince McMahon poorly, obviously.
No, that's a business thing. It's no one business to have an opinion on that, really, other than the people who were involved. But I'm just giving you a history here. He hasn't been in the WWE since that time period. That's why I'm saying that. And from then on, he basically just would rant online, basically, about conspiracies. He was a conservative nut. I really do wonder how much of it had to do with him just being feeling completely shut off from everyone who he knew, because he treated everyone poorly by all accounts, and he just went crazy. He was a conservative asshole. He wrote some terrible things about the people who died and were affected by Hurricane Katrina, which is just bizarre.
Wait, so this guy ran around in a boa in the 80s and did fake fighting.
He wore face paint and had tassels.
Whatever. And then he went on after falling out with over some business dealings. Then posted racist things on the internet, and we're supposed to like, well, okay,
and homophobic
great.
Stuff.
All right, well, good luck, dude.
Yes, I believe the most famous thing he's done from that conservative era of his is he showed up at a Connecticut college to give a talk to the young Republicans or something, and he said the quote, "Queering doesn't make the world work," or something like that.
That's insightful.
Yes, he was definitely a troubled individual.
I do really like, though, that's who the college Republicans in Connecticut got. You're like, you know how we're gonna rebrand ourselves? Let's get some guy from the 80s who wrestled.
But it is a bit bizarre because there's a lot of stories of him doing some really good charity work when he was a famous wrestler.
And he was really young. I mean, how old is
he? He passed away last night at 54 years old.
Wow.
Which listen, it's especially weird because Macho Man Randy Savage died a few years ago. And after WCW closed in the early 2000s, no one saw him on wrestling TV that was it. He never showed back up in the WWE. And it was weird, but, it was just that nostalgic factor. Someone from my childhood died. But then all of a sudden, at the end of last year, Ultimate Warrior is doing a promo for an upcoming WWE video game. He hasn't worked with them. He had a lawsuit against them. He cost them tons of money or whatever, and he cuts his promo or whatever. And all of a sudden, this past weekend on Saturday, he's getting inducted into the professional WWE Hall of Fame. Then on Sunday, he shows up at WrestleMania. And then on Monday, he comes out, and on Monday Night Raw, again, 20 years, he hasn't showed up on this show. And he cuts a promo about how his legend will always last because of the fans. And he says his hearts will stop beating, lungs will stop breathing, but thanks to the fans. And this was really bizarre. Like, the guy was really trying to fix things with everybody he's ever said something horrible with. At the Hall of Fame, he apologized to all these wrestlers or whatever. It was really bizarre. And then yesterday he dies.
Well, maybe he knew it was, but without getting into more of like the details of it, how for you, as a young, as a young man who's quite taken with this, well, I mean, I don't know, someone like this hasn't like
listen,
for me.
Ultimate
I'm trying
Warrior,
to think of like if it was a basketball player or something like what how does it feel for you?
See,
Is it a little shocking?
It's definitely shocking, but
Yeah.
professional wrestling is not like anything else because these guys are actors and athletes, but listen, athletes don't play a character. They're themselves. And actors play a character for 6 months, and then they're never that character again. They become that character for the movie. The people could say they're bizarre individuals themselves.
Sure.
Or
Or
they're
they could,
themselves.
Sure.
In professional wrestling, you are the character you play more than you are the person you are.
Wow.
You are that character when you step in that ring. You're on that character when you step out of the ring. Wrestlers have had to wear masks just when they're going to get a burger or whatever, if their character wears a mask. They have to be in that character all the time. They live that character. So he was actually the Ultimate Warrior, the good person who gives these people all these nostalgic feelings, did all this great charity work, more than he was James Hellwig, who's his real name, the conservative fucking asshole who said shitty things when he was in his home blogging in his basement. Because that is the only time when these people are who they were born as. They're not that person from the majority of their life. So I think more so than any other industry or profession or whatever, you can say this person, James Hellwig, was a terrible, horrible, conservative nut job who said these horrible, he was a racist, he was a homophobe, and he was just a bad person. But at the same time, you could separate that from Ultimate Warrior, the other person. Because literally, it was like he was living another person.
Let me just say, as we wrap this part up, I look forward. I don't always necessarily read YouTube comments, but the YouTube comments that are going to come on this video and we clip it from enraged fans of this guy.
Good.
I'm looking forward to it.
Listen, Ultimate Warrior, the person, and Ultimate Warrior, James Hellwig, the person, Ultimate Warrior, the person, are completely two different people. And it's something you'd only see in wrestling, really, in terms of that dynamic. But, yeah, that's my feelings on it.